What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Wait, I'm a Mom. I'm Alicia Ace West, and today we are joined by Monique.
Hey.
Big up yourself, girl.
Hi.
I love how you spelled Mo because it's so
you.
unique. You know?
Yeah, you know
Like-
what? It's so funny because I didn't nickname myself. Well, Mo has always been my nickname.
Yeah.
But the way that it was spelled, it actually was given to me by a barista in Louisiana.
Really?
When I told him my name and he was making me a drink. I was like, oh, I like that.
I like that. It makes it unique because most people, if they want to go by Mo, they do M-O
Yeah.
or MOE if they really want to. But
Yes.
yeah, it's different.
Exactly.
It's a little je ne sais quoi.
Exactly.
Yeah, like a little something,
Oui.
something. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you. Mo is a content creator and recently launched her own magazine
Yeah.
by her. And you have a beautiful family. Like,
Thank
I love your girls. They're so cute. And I always say to people that I saw them on social media for the first time, and I'm like, yo, genetics is kind of crazy still.
It is.
Because,
Isn't
like,
it?
your girls, they look alike, but they don't look
Yeah,
alike.
right, exactly.
And so I'm like, yo, this is wild. This is so cool. Yeah. So,
Listen, when my youngest was born, no, not when she was born, because when she was born, her hair was black, like it looked black.
really?
Yes. And so my husband, he's mixed, but he's mainly Chinese Jamaican.
Mm,
And so when she was born, she looked like a little Chinese baby.
yeah.
But like a few weeks later, and I was like, the sun hit her hair, and I was like,
What?
what's going on here? I held her up like Simba to the window, like, what is going on? And I'm like, and it's crazy because it skips generations. And my niece
Mm-hmm.
has red hair, but she's
Wow.
in Amsterdam. That's where she was born, and she grew up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh my gosh,
That's
we
so
have
cool.
another one in the family now.
I love redheads. People think that I'm so weird. I'm like, I think that they're the cutest thing, especially
Yeah.
when they're like black. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? White girls or kids with red hair, it's pretty common for them.
Yeah.
But when you're some type of ethnic and you have red hair, I just think it's the
just-
cutest
yeah.
thing ever.
Yes.
So yeah, when I first saw them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're like they look alike. You could tell
Yes.
in their face,
Yeah, they
but
look
they're
like
still
sisters. Yeah.
like different, and I love that.
Exactly.
And I'm like, this is how crazy genetics really is.
Yeah.
You know. First, before we even get into it, we do this
Yeah.
thing called the wine down,
Okay.
where we drink our wine
I
and
love
talk
it.
about the week.
Yes.
So cheers if you want.
Yes. Cheers.
So I ask about your pit and your peak. So your pit is something that went really horribly or just wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And the peak is your greatest moment of the week.
Oh,
or,
okay.
yeah, it doesn't have to be the week. It could be like of this last little while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I'd say the pit, which it's been pitting for for the past few weeks. The pit was me, actually. I'd probably just go and say it was me. It was, I'm currently in this space where I'm dealing with everything from that's going on in our household. I mentioned that. And so it really just had me frozen in time. And I'm, when you're a hustler and you're always doing, you're so used to doing. But then it got to a point where I was just paralyzed. Like I couldn't get creative. I couldn't feel like I wasn't feeling like I was creative. I launched this magazine. I had to stop everything, to support my husband. I had to put family first.
Yeah.
And doing that, and this might even sound like, it may sound bad, but I'm just going to keep it real. Like, I felt like I was just not productive. I felt like I was just not, I was like, is this even the right thing for me to be doing? Like, am I the right person to do this magazine? So I was like, so that was the pit, those thoughts that were coming into my head. And I was just putting a lot of pressure on myself, thinking, okay, this is what other people are expecting me to do. And I was like, you know what? I'm old enough.
I don't
this
need
is
to
where my
live
peak.
up to
My
it.
peak
Yeah.
is that, and and I kind of reclused. I wasn't speaking to anybody either. And so then I
you had a
started
lot going on though.
And then, you know what? And had a couple of great conversations. And then I was like, you know what? I need to just, put some makeup on, get cute,
something.
do a little something, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, the weather started changing and all those things. And I was like, okay, I feel good. And then I was like, you know what? Let me put some things in place to help me, just even if it's a little bit. Because I was like, if I wasn't able to get XYZ done, then the day was shot. Like, I didn't even celebrate the little wins. And I was like, you know what? Let me celebrate these little wins. You know what? If it was an email that I needed to get crossed off my list, it's a win.
Better than nothing, right?
Right. And so it's like looking at things in a more positive way. And not thinking like, oh, I launched and then I'm a failure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
So, of course you're not a failure. You have your own timelines, right?
Yeah.
You're the one who set these timelines. We don't know any different. Yeah. And you had a situation where like, okay, you have to pick up the slack. Yeah. Your husband injured himself, which requires you to do more parenting on your not on your own, but on your own. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, right.
And I know your girls are both in dance.
Yes.
Which is so amazing competitively as well. Did they always want to do that, or is this like a newer thing?
So it's funny because Savannah, and we were actually looking at videos the other day.
And Savannah's a 10-year-old.
Yes. Savannah's 10. She's my sassy girl. She's my twin.
I was going to say, she's your twin.
She's my twin. She's my twin. And she, when I had Sydney, so her and Sydney are, I call them 2 years apart, but they're technically like 22 months apart.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I had Sydney, and then, it's balancing both. Savannah was a 2-year-old. She had all this energy. I'm like, girl, we need to find you something.
Yeah.
And I did put her in dance, but she wasn't paying attention. She was like off doing her own thing. So we did gymnastics. And then I think one of our other friends from school was doing dance. And so we decided, okay, let's try it again. She's a little older. So this was a couple years later when she was like 4. And then we went back into it, and she just like, that's her passion. Like, she is a dancer. Like, I could see her.
Yeah. Continuing
and doing it like that. She's in her element. Sydney, it was because, when you have 2 kids, usually you kind of put them in the same things.
Yeah.
Then it just eliminates scoring. One here, right? So we were doing it, and then Sydney expressed that she didn't want to do dance. Like, she actually came out. She said, I don't like it. I don't want to go. And we're like, okay, so what do you want to do? She's like, you know what? I want to do skateboarding. I want to do gymnastics. I want to play soccer. We're like, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Let's support you in what your interests are, right? And so she did those things. She did gymnastics for a year. And then Savannah was still in comp. So she would come to the competitions, and then she'd be like, I miss competing.
Aww.
So she missed that whole team atmosphere.
Yeah.
I'm like, you sure? And so she said she wanted to come back. So she started doing it again last year. Yeah.
I think it's so important for kids to be able to try different things.
Yes.
I mean, that's the environment that I was raised in. My mom put me in anything and everything.
Right.
Like from karate to swimming to dance, gymnastics, figure skating.
Oh, wow.
Nobody thinks I did figure skating,
Right.
but I did that. And finally like landed on basketball, and that was my thing. But I think it's just so good to have these kids. And like Nola, she's only 2 years old. She's already done swimming and gymnastics. Yeah. She's really into dance right now, so I'm gonna try to get her into some class. And she really loves music as well. So
that's good.
I want to put her in some type of music class, because I never did that. I don't really have a musical gene in me that I know of. But she likes it, right? Yeah. So I was like, I want her to explore everything, even if she doesn't like it. Yeah. And she also did basketball. I completely forgot it. Yeah. She's already like 3 activities in at 2.
I think it's so good. And my husband, like, he's also aligned with this too. And it's just like, give them opportunities to try different things and kind of see what because we leave them to be the drivers of what they want to do. Yeah. Like, we constantly check in. Like, even recently, Savannah had expressed interest. She wanted to try acting, right? She wanted to do that. And I was like, okay, cool. So auditions started coming in. And this was also surprising to me too, because I'm like, okay, I didn't know you need to like memorize these scripts and have them in like 2 days. With all the things that she's doing, it's just not realistic. And then it
Yeah.
became stressful for her.
No.
So I was like, let me do a gut check, because she'll do it
Yeah.
if I tell her to do it. But I'm like, I don't want her to feel like she
force
can't. You know what I
it
mean?
and she
So
can't.
I
Yeah.
always do check-ins. Like, how do you feel? Do you like it? She's like, I'd rather do like voiceover stuff versus like doing the acting stuff, because it's just like with balancing school, dance, because they're in the studio 5 out of 7 days a week.
Wow.
So she's like, on top of that, it's just a little bit much. And I was like, okay, cool. I told her agent, you know what? Let's stop with the auditions. We'll just stick with doing like the print and whatever campaigns that come through. And if there's any voiceover work that comes through, we'll do that. So,
That's so cool that she is able to articulate how she actually feels, and learning about balance a lot younger than most people do.
Right.
And yeah, like you have your girls already having a career.
Right.
Like, it's so good. I love to see it. And with your line of work, you actually have your whole family a part of your business now.
Yes.
When did you decide to, make that transition to not just a you thing, but a us thing?
So it started, well, when I started doing blogging I started out as a mommy blogger. So I was on maternity leave, and I was like, okay, I was blessed that the girls were easy babies. Like within 3 months, like we had a routine, we were good. And so that I got bored. So I'm like, and then my
There's
friend's
no
like,
struggle here.
Right.
Okay? Like this is too.
It was like, you could get free products if you post about it. I was like, oh, okay, let me try this out then. And with Sydney, Sydney did not take a bottle. And that was like our thing. We were trying to find the bottle that she would take. So that was kind of like one of the main things that we were doing. And then just other things like mommy related content. So that's kind of where the girls were already involved. And once I went back to work, it kind of still made sense for that to continue along, because that was my life, right? I also wanted to show, my life outside of being a mom. So it's kind of like just, working mom, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward years later, I was on City Line. So I was doing City Line. I was still creating content, but I was also still working. And I was working at a bank. And later on, I got promoted and I was leading a team. And pandemic hit. And so I'm still doing all the things. I was tired, burnt out. Even pre-pandemic, I was burnt out many a times. And my husband was always telling me, make a decision on what you want to do.
What is it? Is
right.
it this or is it
make
that?
Make a decision. And I'm like, I was raised on, let's have something stable, da 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 da. So I'm like, I'm not leaving my good job at the bank to be an influencer. Like, what do you mean? So, but he was an entrepreneur all his life. So he's all about that life. So I'm just like, no, I wouldn't listen to him. So pandemic came and, things changed, perspective changed on life, on what's important.
Yeah.
And during that time, my husband went to film school. That was like his pandemic hobby.
Yeah.
He had picked up a camera before pandemic, and he was like, I'll help you shoot some things here and there. But he's always had an interest in films and filming. And so he went to film school during the pandemic, and he graduated. And while he was finishing off that program, I was already kind of planning to make my exit from the bank, right? But I wanted to see how much money I could make creating content in a year to see if I could still
like sustain
the family life. Like the girls are in private school. We have 2 houses. Like there's all these expenses that we have that I want to make sure that we can still, maintain. And I still want to live comfortably.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to struggle.
Right, exactly.
It's a chance that you have to take.
Well, this is it, right? So that year went well, and so we had the discussion. And so one day he's like, okay, I have this program completed. I've graduated. He's like, here, I will shoot and edit all of your content, but you got to quit your job.
Ooh.
I'm like, what? And I was still mulling about it. But then I'm like, okay. Because if he had that much confidence in me and supported me that much, like,
then why don't you?
Why don't I, just believe in my own self to do it? So I was like, okay. And so that's kind of how it came about. He was in real estate as well. So that's what he was doing. He's a realtor, and then he was in film school on the side. And so when what are we in? We're in 2024. So the beginning of 2023, he decided that he was going to stop doing real estate and he would
Just
come work
focus.
with me and focus on working with me full time because
Wow.
he wasn't, feeling the way that he has a social work background. He really wants to be about affordable housing. So he's like, I can't in my right mind sell somebody a house knowing that it's not worth it.
It's not
like,
worth
I can't
it
push
at
it.
all.
Like, he's like, I can't. He's like, I don't want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? All right, cool. And so, so that's kind of how it became a family business. So it's, there's me that, I do the concepting and, getting the business. And then he does the shooting, the editing, the setups and all that jazz.
Amazing.
And then the girls, there are supporting cast as needed.
Hey, sometimes with the stars, okay?
Well,
don't get it twisted out. They be coming through. Like, this is my show now.
I was like, these girls are my claim to fame sometimes because I'm like, you know the girls before you know me.
Yeah, they just take over. Like.
Yeah, they really do. They really do. And I do check in with them as well to make sure, like, do you guys still like doing this? And they're like, yeah, because they get the free stuff.
Yeah, of course. They're like, this is fun, mommy.
Right. Yeah, they want their own little YouTube channel. I was like, oh, Lord.
They do.
They do.
Are you willing to do that?
They've been wanting it for years. And I was like, you know what? I would entertain it. I would entertain it with them being a little bit older. And yeah, now that you see their personalities.
Yeah.
So, and it's just like some of the things that they say. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I wish I got that on camera.
Maybe you should contemplate it. Yeah. I used to work for a toy company, Spin Master Toys.
Yes.
Doing their social and digital stuff. And so we work with kid influencers and the amount of money, like Evan's Tube.
Yeah.
How are you a millionaire and you were like 6 years old?
Right.
But I loved that their dad quit his job to do it. So his dad was doing videography and editing and the mom was helping out. And then the sister, when she started getting a little bit older, she started getting into it as well. Yeah. And it became like a family business that has afforded beautiful houses, been able to like travel the world, college tuitions paid. Yeah. Like they just have a full life. All off of him opening toys on camera. It's mind-boggling, you know? But it's also very cool that this is where we are now, that opportunities and family businesses can start from nothing.
Literally.
It's not the same that it was before when you start a family business and you're in, I don't know, the trenches. Like literally, there's different trenches, but not these ones. Yes. Have you ever felt any reservation about sharing your kids on social media?
Yes, I did, especially early on. I actually didn't share their real names early on. But as time goes on, I don't mind sharing them. I'm very mindful of how I share them. So, for example, if I'm out with them and I don't post real time, right?
Yeah, I get that.
And then obviously I'm not posting where they go to school or anything like that. And on top of that, like their school is too far for them to walk. So we're always dropping them off or picking them up. So that's not really a concern for us either. But I also limit their exposure to it as well. With them getting older, they have their friends that have phones. And I'm like, how do you know this TikTok dance?
Yeah.
You don't have TikTok. And they're like, oh, so-and-so's phone at school. I was like, oh, well.
I see.
And I know it. I mean, we've all been kids, right? We know they're going to find the things. They're going to learn things that, we try to protect them from. But it's just like, you just try to equip them properly and get them to understand as to why we have our rules in the house. When it comes to social media, it's just a very toxic space for them. And so when they go, they have like they have their own little page, and the only accounts that they're following, they're like dancers. They're dancers, skateboarders, crafters, like that's it. And they can only go on it on my phone. So, and on their tablets, they're protected as well. So, yeah, I was like, I can lock your pad from my phone. So
don't even try it.
Right.
I am in control.
Right.
I see everything.
Exactly. So
man.
put that fear in them.
Yeah. You said that they're really developing their personalities. Do you
Yes.
think that they share similar personalities, or are they completely different?
They do share similar personalities to an extent. But then you do see their differences as well. Like Savannah, again, she's very much of a dancer. She's very she's like, oh, I got my outfit. She's all about that.
Yeah.
Sydney is very chill. This child, she's just something else. She's fiery, like her red hair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I
she's
love
definitely
that for her.
fiery. She has a very slick tongue on her. Savannah is not like that.
Where'd she get it from? Did she get it from her mama?
No, she didn't. I think she got it from her grandmother.
Really? That's hilarious. I know Nola gets everything from me, like the personality and the little sassiness.
She gets some things from her dad too, but like for example, like Savannah, and I mean this is probably not the best thing, but Savannah, she doesn't get hangry. Sydney gets hangry, just like her dad. Like I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten yet, and it's like hours later. Savannah's like, oh, the same, but yeah, like that.
Yeah.
And Sydney's just very like whatever. She's not super organized. Like Savannah's like, oh, I want my stuff like pretty and looking nice. And yeah. So
do they fight over that stuff often?
You know what? They don't really fight over that stuff.
Yeah.
They more so fight like they're very competitive between each other. And Sydney more so that because I'm like, honey, you're 2 years behind. Like it's okay.
Yeah.
Like if she can't do a dance move, for example.
Yeah.
Like, honey, it's okay.
You'll figure it out.
Get there.
Yes.
But then there will be. She's also fearless. So if she gets like an acro move before Savannah, it's because Savannah's she's very calculated. She wants to know the mechanics behind the move, what she needs to work on before she completes the move. Sydney will just do the move.
Yeah.
And not think about it. Technique out the door. She's like, I'm just trying it.
I just want to get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how they're different. Yeah.
I think it's so like just dope to see. Did you purposely have kids close in age?
Yes.
Was that always your goal?
Yeah. Yeah. My brother that's closest to me in age, he's 7 years older than I am. So I never really had like that sibling that was close in age and similar to Jason as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like, having them close in age, we wanted them to, have a little playmate and stuff like that. And, we thought about the third and there was a window and we're like, yep, that window was gone. Yep.
Like,
so
it's okay.
we're good with the two. And they're also each other, even though they get on each other's nerves, sometimes they're also each other's best friends and they'll look out for each other.
Yeah.
And especially like during the pandemic time, like it was like you really saw the benefit of them having each other during that time as well because they were like, we can go anywhere, right?
Yeah. So at least they can play together. They can, watch movies together that are at the same level. Yeah. Right. Nola has a sister that is 6 years older than her. So there's differences, you know, like her sister is into gaming right now. Nola obviously doesn't listen to even attempt to play a game, right? She's just like, she has like this phone. My mom bought her, not the phone, camera. My mom bought her a digital camera because she loves taking pictures, right? Yes. And on it, you can actually play little games, but she won't sit there and let anybody teach her how to play the game. And she's like, oh, mommy, I'm playing a game and nothing's happening. It's just the same entrance, like push this to start. And she's not doing it. And then her dad will be like, let me try it. And she'd be like, no, I'm playing. Like, all right, girl. Right. So there's definitely like obviously differences with the age, but compared to my situation, my sister is 11 years younger than me. And then my brothers on my dad's side are 14 and 17 years younger than me. Oh, wow. So I don't have any siblings that I can even relate to. They're kids still. Like, literally. The last one is still in high school. Like, So it's always, I couldn't do it though. I couldn't have kids in a small window. I don't think I have it in me. You know, it's
Yeah,
I
it's
assume it's hard.
it's tiring, girl. I'll
Yeah.
tell you that much. Yeah, it was tiring for a good while. But you just you get past it eventually.
Hmm. Did you ever feel after when you had Savannah
Yeah.
and then you were, in the process of potentially having another one, did you ever feel like you never spent enough time with Savannah before her sister was born?
No, no, because I wanted to also make sure that I spent time with them
Mm-hmm.
individually as well. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And Savannah has a very loving personality.
Mm-hmm.
She was never jealous. Like she never had that jealous. She was like she's always super helpful. Like she has
Yeah.
this greatest heart.
Aw.
She is
So
such
she
a
was like
sweet angel.
proud to be the big
Yeah, she
sister.
was proud. She wanted to help out. Yeah, she loves her like she loves her sister, even though her
Mm.
sister gets on her nerves.
Yeah, she still loves her. She's like,
Like
that's my
they'll be
dog.
like they'll go out somewhere, or if one of them, like if one has a shoot and the other one, and like they'll give like candy or whatever. Can I get one for my sister, please? Like they'll look out for
Aw.
each other like that. So I'm happy that they have that bond with each other. And then sometimes we'll do like mommy daughter dates, and I take one, Jason will take the other, like and we'll
Yeah.
swap. So
Oh, that's so
yeah,
beautiful. At least you spend time with them
yeah,
equally and invest in their interests as well,
yeah,
right? And
yes,
know that they have two different like personalities and interests.
right,
That's so
yeah.
great. What about when you were pregnant with them?
Mhm.
Did you find that you had similar or different pregnancies?
Um, thinking they were similar.
Mm-hmm.
I was more tired round two for sure.
I mean, you had
I
a
think,
toddler, so.
yeah, right, exactly. I was like, I think though the only thing is that I felt more tired. Um, but in terms of like the symptoms, more or less, they were pretty much the same. So I was
Mm.
like, it's probably another girl. Like there wasn't
You
anything
probably, yeah.
striking that was like, we were like, oh, maybe it's a boy, but no, it was another girl.
Aw. Did you
Yeah.
find out or did you wait?
Yeah, we found out.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was like, I want to know if we need to buy new stuff or if we
We
could
could
just
just
reuse
keep
the other
it.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hand me down.
I feel as if more people are
Mhm.
inclined to not knowing the
Yes.
second time around
Yeah.
compared to the first. I don't even think my mom knew what my sister was, but
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that was her personal choice or because they just couldn't
Yeah, I can
tell.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would want to
Mhm.
know. I
Yeah.
got anxiety. I lied to everybody though.
Oh, you did? Oh, you kept it
Yeah,
to
I
yourself?
kept telling them. Like, no, we're not gonna find out. We're not gonna get find because they kept bothering me about it,
Yes.
right? Pressuring me, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
nah, we're not finding out. We're not finding out. I went on my own, didn't tell anybody. I knew for a minute, didn't say anything. I knew for weeks.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just knew for weeks. And then I did a whole surprise for my partner.
Yeah.
I told him to come like meet me at this spot. It was a hotel, and in the room it was just like a bunch of pink balloons and
Yes.
pink
I feel like
things.
you posted about
Yeah, I
this.
did.
Okay.
Yeah. And I made a video
Yes.
and yeah, so he was very surprised. He had no clue that I knew.
Aw.
And then I didn't tell my mom or anything until after.
Mhm.
And I had my mom, my grandma, my sister all there and we watched it together. They had no clue what we were watching. And they were like, wait,
Aw.
you found out? You found out? So yeah, I kept it for a secret for like a month.
You're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
I
good.
was like, no, I'm not
I feel like
knowing.
I would probably let it crack to my mom at least, or my mom would just pressure me down, like, what is it?
Yeah. She was pressuring me. I was like, why do you need to
Probably
know?
avoid her.
I was like, it doesn't even matter. She was like, oh, well, that means we can just like buy clothes and buy things that are more fitting. I was like, no, because I really don't want pink clothes.
Right.
So buy gender neutral
Right,
clothes.
yes.
There's problem
Hello.
solved.
Right.
Buy things that are beige and
Right.
like,
Yes.
don't buy things that are pink and everything's okay.
Yep.
But yeah, they were very happy to find out. I think they were more happy to find out than me.
Yeah. They're
You
gonna
know?
typically are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going forward,
Yeah.
so now that you have kids that are almost about, well, Savannah for sure
Yeah.
is about to be a preteen.
Yes. Next month, girl.
Yeah. 11.
Yep.
So what's your favorite phase and what's your worst phase at this part?
My favorite phase. I feel like my favorite phase was probably like around like the 5. They're just, they're still cute. They
Yeah.
still got the cheeks. They still got a little chub on them.
The little lisps
Yes.
and stuff, and like not know how
Yeah,
to pronunciate
right.
everything.
Yes, yes. What's the worst phase? Um, I wouldn't say the worst, but I
But
guess
like
the most
least,
challenging
yeah.
was obviously like when they were just born, because you're figuring out, you're trying to, you're trying to breastfeed, you're trying to, stay awake. But like I said, like thankfully they were fairly easy babies for the most part, and that phase didn't last long. So we'll see what teenagehood brings.
Coming.
Maybe my worst phase has yet to come.
It's coming. It's knocking on your
Right.
door.
We'll see.
I did another interview with a woman that had a baby when she was 16,
Oh wow.
and her son is now 19.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
she was like, yeah, it's the worst phase so
Yeah.
far. I can imagine it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like, especially with boys, obviously you can think the worst, like things can just happen. With girls, then you have to deal with attitudes and
Attitude
like,
and emotions.
not knowing how to deal with
This is
their
it.
emotions.
Yeah.
And body changes, because like
Well, that's it too,
that,
right?
especially with your girls getting into dance, I'm sure that
Yeah.
there's gonna be some type of conversation that needs to be had about that as they continue to like develop, right?
Well, this is it. And when was it? Last year, Savannah was having, and I didn't know this was a thing in, I guess, grade 4. There was a thing in grade 4 where they just have attitude with friends. So she was going through a moment with one of her one of her friends that she had known since she was like 3. And I'm like, what's happening? Like, you guys used to be close, and Savannah's like, I'm ready to walk away from this friendship, Mom. I'm like, whoa.
Like, okay, sis.
She's like, right. I was like, I'm like, I appreciate that when something is not serving you, but I'm like, what's going on? And it's like the Cosby Show did not prepare me for this. I'm like, what episode can I refer to deal with this situation? And I was like thinking back, I'm like, I didn't have problems with anybody in grade 4. I didn't even have problems throughout any of my school years. So I'm like, when navigating that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to speak to this girl's mom. Like, we're friends. Like, what's going on? I was like, you know what? You guys handle it. And thankfully, it ended up working out. They're fine now.
Nice.
A year later, I'm just like, but I'm like, is this what I have to prepare myself for? Like, the cattiness that will happen? I was like, oh my god.
Possibly.
I was a tomboy. I was in sports. So I was like, I didn't deal with this stuff. I'm like, you're in dance. You're exposed to girls all the time.
Yeah, I feel like it's a different type of girl, Because when you're playing basketball, it's like,
well, this is it.
They're
right?
like more rough and like,
I'm like, I don't have to worry about my outfit. I'm in sweats.
Yeah. And then with dance and those type of activities, it's like the looks. They care about the looks a lot more. The hair, the this, the that. Did you ever watch Dance Moms?
I never did, actually. I think because I was like, when I came into it, like I said, I was an athlete. So when I came into it, I was like, I'm the worst dance mom ever, because
I
I'm
have
like,
no
there's
clue.
just too much going on here. I'm like, lashes, makeup.
At such a young age too.
Right.
You're
and
like,
I'm
dang.
like, oh my gosh, I gotta have these outfits, these shoes. And I think I started watching an episode, but I probably got distracted. I just never focused on it. I was just like, but I know that there's some like crazy dance moms out there. I was like, no, that's not going to be me.
Yeah. Toxic.
Yeah.
Some of the episodes that I used to watch, I'm just like, this is wild.
Well, this is it, right? And I was just like, again, and what I love about their dance school is that they're not like one of those schools that's like, that leads with negativity. You know what I mean? They lead with positivity. They focus on body positivity as well.
Okay, that's beautiful.
So which I absolutely love, because I mean, who knows where she's going to be? I'm not trying to get her into the National Ballet of Canada. Like, yeah. She's doing this. This is an extracurricular activity. Yes, there's a competition, and so we want her to do well, of course. But at the same time, like, I want her, like, she's in this because the life lessons that you can carry away from this, right? Like, she's gonna get those disappointments where she needs to learn how to change things, whatever. But I really don't need the extra toxicity that's
Yeah.
coming along with it, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm so happy that their dance school is
That's
not like
amazing.
that.
I was actually recently talking to another mother here in Toronto, and she said her daughter was in gymnastics and she had to kind of go a different way because as she started developing, there were saying things about her body that really played with her child's body confidence, and they had to make the decision to go a different way. And now she's in a sport, and she's just like way better. Because
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that with this dance stuff, it's not, they expect you to have a certain body type.
Yeah.
And as black girls, and you start developing, you
Yeah.
don't necessarily fit that body type. And then how are you going to deal with it?
Right. Well,
And then even
it.
like the hair thing.
Yeah.
I heard you didn't tie, I think you did. You didn't tie somebody's like hair properly or whatever, and it fell out. One of your daughters? Was it you?
I think I did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge deal. It was more embarrassing than anything. But yeah, like, so this is more even for me. Like, I don't like having braids when I have to work out. Like when I'm on a constant workout plan. Like, I don't like having the heaviness of the braids for some reason. That's just me. But for Savannah for dance, as well, like she just doesn't like the heaviness of the braids. And their dance school has never given me any type of stress. Like, but at the same time, I'm like, this is how you have to wear your hair for dance. I don't really straighten her hair for it. I just pull her hair in a ponytail, boom, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And put it in a bun. So, but yes, I have heard. And I think there was something on social media in the States about Cheer, this girl with Cheer.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
yeah.
I'm happy that I don't have to deal with it with her dance school. Yeah.
How do you feel like you're going to prepare the girls for these type of issues as they grow older? Because Savannah and Sydney's hair are completely different textures, not just color, and even like their skin tones, they're different shades. How do you feel like you're going to like navigate the issues that they may face going forward?
So with the girls, we've already had, or we haven't, I shouldn't say we've had conversations, I should say, but I've always reinforced how beautiful their hair is. And I've always reinforced the fact that they are Black girls, that they look different. Black women, there's a spectrum of us.
Yes.
And Savannah loves her afro. She loves the fact that she can do so many things with her hair. And I have had situations where people have like fanned over Sydney's hair and Savannah's standing right there.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah.
Your hair matters too.
Right.
Yeah.
And I actually make the person feel uncomfortable because I'm like, you're not about to
do this to my girl.
in front of my child. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it also is people within the community that have said that as well. And so I've always reinforced that with her, and she just loves her hair. She, if she wanted a doll, she's like, I want that one. She looks like me.
No.
And that's why representation that matters. And that's why it's so good that we've been able to expand in, the area of toys and whatnot, and being able to see ourselves in different spaces. And that's where I've been able to expose her to that as well, where she feels confident within her own hair. Like there was a time where, she's like, Mommy, I want to have hair like Elsa, like your little friends when she was young. And I was like, I'm like, okay, honey, but this is your hair and it's beautiful.
Sorry,
and so that's where I had to like start having those conversations, earlier on.
Yeah.
But now she's totally confident. She's at a stage now where she's like, oh, Mom, I'm going to brush out my hair. She started learning to wash her own hair now.
Nice.
And, how to moisturize it and things of that nature. And she loves that about her hair. And I think the fact that she is exposed to all the things that she's been exposed to, I think that also helps her. So it's not a complex for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. No. And she sees like both of their hair, it's not easy to maintain.
It's still work.
Both of their hairs.
Yeah.
So either way, it's work. You know what I mean?
Like Sydney's hair is very long. Like that's a whole nother thing, having to deal with super long hair. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so this is also why I feel like the magazine is so important, because not only is it giving space for us, but it's also for our girls to see that, yes, here in Canada, you
Yeah.
could see others that look like us and look like you.
So
You know
what's
what I mean?
your intentions with By Her? Like, what do you want this to be? Is it going to be weekly, monthly? Is it going to be print or just online? Like,
So right
explain a
now
little bit more.
we're only digital, just because it's self-funded.
Yes.
But there has been interest. People are like, "Where can I buy the magazine?" I was like, "Oh, okay. So this is good to know." And so we may, like, I am entertaining doing like a print run like once a year, at least for the first year, and we'll see how it is. But right now we're going digital. We're doing quarterly drops.
Okay.
We'll still have content dropping on the website, but like the major stories, and then we'll also shoot a digital cover that will drop quarterly at the end of the
Yes.
quarter. So
Nice.
we're working on June right now. And then we'll be active on our social media handles as well.
Why'd you choose a magazine for this?
Because I felt that we didn't have something for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, me growing up, I had like, Word Up magazine, Essence,
Yep.
High Fair, like those are the magazines. But again, they were focused on Americans and that viewpoint. And being a Black Canadian, like, we have our own perspectives on things, right? We have our own thoughts, our own responses on things. And I felt it just very important to highlight that. And I felt that, a magazine was probably the best space to do it, because I don't want to be a slave to Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? When they
wanna
go
build
down, like,
something
I still
else.
want to be able to have our own platform. And so, yes, we're starting out with a magazine right now digitally, but I want to also expand and do, events as well.
Your first launch event looked beautiful.
Thank you. We want to do events. We want to support. We want to be sponsor. We want to sponsor events and things of that nature as well within the community. So it isn't like, this is just like the first step.
Yeah.
in what's happening.
It's more to come.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
When you left the corporate world,
Yeah.
how was that transition on the way that you like parented? Because I'm an advocate for saying that corporate world is not made for moms or
It's not.
parents.
No, it's not.
Against us.
Yes, 100%.
So how do you feel like your parenting was able to change when you made that transition?
It was able to change because I had flexibility. I was able to control my time. I've thankfully been able to work with a lot of amazing clients, and I'm of the mind of putting and producing quality work, and I deliver that to my clients. And so building that trust with them knowing that I build quality work that's been able to, like, if something happens, they know that regardless if something happened or popped up, like on the family side, that they know I'm still going to deliver the content. So I've been able to, plan my schedule accordingly so that I could chaperone like kids if they're going on a class trip, what I mean? Like, be there for them. If they have a track meet, like, they can always count on me to go. So being able to be there for the pickups, for the drop-offs, not have to wait to like get dinner together at like 7:00 at night. Like, that has been, like, it's been huge. And it's like, I get to see them grow, you know what I mean? Like, I don't feel like I'm missing out on
those like little
them.
moments.
Yeah,
too.
you know what I mean? And then with me being in this space, I get to take them along sometimes too, you know what I mean? So that's the fun aspect, and I get to, allow them to get exposed to different things as well. So, yeah.
Do you miss anything about the corporate world?
I think the only thing I miss about the corporate world is that office, like the camaraderie of it. Because when you're as an entrepreneur, and it's also when you're working in the content creation space, like, it's very isolating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Aside like going to the parties and stuff, that's one thing. But on the day to day, like, I don't have like a work husband like I did when I was at the bank.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't have my little like friend that I can be
buy
like,
me
girl,
some
let's
lunch?
go, like, let's go downstairs, grab a coffee because I need to vent. Like, there's no one there to, what I mean? Like, it's just, you kind of sit there with your thoughts. And so that, I would say, would be one of the things that I miss the most about being in corporate.
I agree. I say that I miss getting dressed.
Yeah.
Because for the few months that I was in the office before I left, I was getting dressed. I was purposely trying to like put outfits together. Now, when I go to the radio station, I'm wearing tracksuits, and some of them might not even be that clean. Like I might have spilled something, and I'm like, oh well, I'm only seeing one person. We're gonna do this.
Right.
Like, don't do my hair, don't do my makeup.
Yeah.
So now that I'm not leaving my house as often to do those type of things, I kind of miss that. I miss, and then obviously having people to like joke around with, because otherwise it's just me and Nola joking. Right. And she's funny. Don't get it wrong, but you know, some adult conversation would be nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
How do you like set boundaries and balance between being like a wife and also coworkers or, you know, business owners together?
You know, it's for me, it's like it still it still bleeds over time.
Yeah.
For the most part, like we do good in like we have our times where we have like we schedule our meetings, like our touch points when we're talking about business or whatever, and then we have our time where it's just like it's personal time. But like I said, sometimes it still bleeds over, but we try to be intentional about scheduling. And
what would your perfect situation be? Would you guys have like your own space to work in?
Yeah, that would be the perfect situation. I think being home all the time. And we're like, we live in a townhouse, and so there's not a whole like a massive amount of space. So it's like it's in a situation now where we're like, we got so much product. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then on top of that, I'm a DIYer
See my
too.
desk area? It's a hot mess.
Right. And so I'm a DIYer too. And like my supplies and as a crafter, and that's kind of like the hoarder in me. It's like you never know when you're going to need something again.
Yeah.
So it's like you buy something, you finish the project, but I'm like, I'm not about to throw this out. Like this can come useful. And so now it's like the things are piling up. And then my husband prefers to shoot in it. Like he likes to take it outside. And I was like, well, honey, we're still parents, so we still got to pick up kids. So we can't go far. And we're in the East End, so we're in Ajax. So it's like there's no studio spaces that we could be like, oh, we'll be there in 10 minutes, right?
And so many of them are like downtown,
right? They're downtown, so it's like it is a full day situation. And so a lot of the stuff I'm shooting is lifestyle, so it's like the home is the studio, and half the time you gotta like move
all the stuff.
Shoot, and then you're like, oh, I gotta move it all back. So and then sometimes it's like you're just so tired and things just kind of stay the way they are, and then it just kind of gets frustrating. So try to be more intentional. Try to get creative and plan a little bit more. Like I try to work with brands to allow us a little bit more leeway so that if we need to go into a studio, at least we can book it. Yeah. And we can like at least get a visit in if we need to, and kind of see get that visit to see how things are going to look. So those are like
I feel you on the moving the stuff, because sometimes I say I'll have or even if I just want to shoot regular content, obviously when you have a price tag attached to it, you're like, okay, I gotta do it, like I gotta get the job done, right? But when you're wanting to just shoot regular lifestyle non-partnership content, I'll go downstairs and I'll see like toys everywhere, and I'm like, then it's like, now I gotta clean up all the toys, and then I gotta set all the stuff up, and then I gotta get myself ready. But like I'm tired, and now I don't have the energy to do it.
The organic content just suffers.
Yeah. It's hard, and like my partner will be like, okay, well, like what can we do so we get this? I'm like, nothing, because if I'm doing it, I also have to make sure nobody's at the house to like bother me, you know what I mean? Like Nola has to be doing something, you have to like be gone, or you're gonna end up being at a place, his brother has to be out, so that we can, so I'm home by myself. I don't have to worry about interrupting anybody else. Nobody else has to interrupt me, like worry about that either. And then I have to clean up all the stuff. And I'm just like, it's a lot of work when you're by yourself.
It is.
Yeah. But I like incorporating him sometimes into the content, and
if he's okay with it.
I ask him. I don't purposely, just here and there.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, can you
help me out a little
join
bit, right?
and do the things? He's learning my angles. I've been teaching him
Okay.
how to take pictures.
Yes,
I've been teaching him
IGD.
about videos, and it's so funny now
That's how it starts.
when we
Yeah.
go out and somebody will be like, oh, you want to take a picture? And say he's down there.
Yeah.
They'll start taking the picture and he'll rush over and he's like, no, you don't know her angle. Or if I want something with him in it,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, we need you to do this, this, and this, okay? This is how she's going to like it. Yeah. I'm like, you are so funny. He takes it personal now.
No,
Yeah,
okay. I'm telling you, girl, that's how it starts.
That's what I'm saying.
Jason
I told
was
him.
that guy.
I was like, hey, you want to learn how to work a camera?
Right.
Do you want to learn how to edit something? He's like, no. I was like, not yet.
Oh, right. Baby steps.
Yeah. I'll teach Nola, maybe.
I'll tell you, Savannah's been girl.
Yeah, she's ready to
she's
take
helped out
over.
a couple times. Yeah. I need a cover photo. Come on. Yeah.
He's like, come, do what you gotta do,
Right.
please. Just, I need one good photo. That's it. Just give me one good
One shot,
photo,
that's all we
okay?
need. Yep.
Do you have any advice for any mothers that are trying to make that transition and kind of bet on themselves?
I say, honestly, I couldn't do this without a proper support system around me.
Absolutely.
Get people around you that will lift you up, that will encourage you, also that will hold you accountable. Because there's times that, like I said, I've been wanting to give up, but my girlfriends are like, no,
Don't do it.
No, you're not going to do it. My husband, again, like if he hadn't put that proposition,
Yeah, who knows? You
right?
might have
You know
been,
what I mean?
still working at a bank.
I probably wouldn't quit my job. So sometimes you really, well, not sometimes, you need that support system behind you. If you don't have that support system, then put systems in place for yourself. I'm not a good system person. I'm getting better. I'm getting there, especially nowadays. But have a plan in place. You need to have a proper plan in place. Like I said, I had worked for a year. I kind of, did a little bit of analysis to see how things were going to make sure that that's what I needed to do in order to feel comfortable with leaving my job. Some people can just quit and just like the money's going to find me somehow. But I'm like, the way my mind had worked, I had to.
You had to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I had to feel comfortable. Because, again, it's not just me. If I was single and I didn't have any really responsibilities, then that would have been a different story. But, I had a family to consider, right? So I had to plan and obviously work with Jason to make sure that, we were aligned in what our vision. And thankfully, that was easy for us. So I'd say make sure you have a plan in place and put that vision on paper. Yeah, and
get to it.
Yeah, get to it. That's the thing. Don't wait.
Sometimes we overthink so much, right?
Yes.
And we are like, okay, I want to do this. And even with this, I think I wanted to do this from 2022, the end of 2022. And I didn't put out my first episode until February 26th this year, right? And there were so many different things that I could have been overthinking.
Yeah.
That kept deterring me from doing it, and me just wanting everything to be so perfect when in reality I could have just started, you know, and potentially I've been way further, but it is what it is. At least I did start, and at least I'm here now, know?
Exactly.
Because it's hard. It's hard really betting on yourself. And even with me leaving my previous full-time job and then going back to the radio, I took a huge pay cut, you know? And that's something, because now you're like, dang, like, I really got to make sure that I get money other ways to feel comfortable, because nobody wants to regress. Nobody wants to live a certain life and then feel like,
going back,
you can't have the fun. You can't have the funds to do whatever.
Right.
And so it's scary. I thought about it a lot. Yeah. I'm like, dang, am I really going to do this?
Yeah. Yeah, it is scary.
And then especially with like this type of line of work where you're doing content, you don't know when your partnerships are necessarily going to happen. You know, you could have back to back for 2-3 months, and then for
Crickets.
4 months nothing.
Right.
And you're like, dang. Or
Right.
even the paychecks
Yeah.
to come in, it'd be taking
Net
forever.
90.
Yeah, net 90 where? Like, give me my money,
Right.
please. I
Hello.
need it.
Right.
I need to survive.
Exactly.
So it's definitely something that I feel as if people need to be confident in themselves and have some type of strategy, because it definitely could go wrong, but it also could go great.
Very right.
You
Exactly.
know? What do you do that makes you happy? How do you get your time away from being a wife, a mother, business owner?
I find meditating really helps me. Going for walks anytime I'm around water, that just soothes me immediately. I need to be in a place where I'm either just in quiet, because my life is so busy.
Yeah.
Just being quiet is my space. So
And be able to like hear yourself think.
Most of the time, honestly, it's when everybody's gone to bed. Yeah.
The most
solitude.
solitude.
And sometimes, and unfortunately, maybe it might come at 11 o'clock at night, at 12, and I'm like, but that's what it is. I may be tired the next day, but I'm like, I need to do this to just decompress. Yeah.
I feel that. Do you have like a go-to show or something that you put on?
It's more music, really. I love listening to jazz, neo soul, like from like my Jill Scott. I love me some Jilly. And even if it's just some jazz, it's
just something.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just being quiet. Even if it's like, those apps, I think it's called Better Sleep. They changed their name, but it's just like the ocean, just listening to the ocean. I love
being around
rain.
the ocean.
Yeah. Even rain, like hearing the rainfall. I love hearing it rain, but here the rain like stops so quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the past couple of days it's been like
hella rain.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
An open window with rain for me.
Yes.
Like,
I took a really great nap on Friday when it was raining. All that rain. I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. So just even putting, like, a lot of the times I'm putting that on before I fall asleep. But yeah,
you're one of those sleepers.
Yeah,
you have to have it to sleep.
No, I don't have to have it to sleep. No, I don't, because it's just more so if I can't. Like, if I feel like I really need to calm myself down before I go to bed. Yeah. But for the most part, it's just chilling and quiet.
Do you have any not necessarily regrets, but is there anything that you would have done better as a mother so far?
One thing that I'm very conscious of is that when I say Savannah's my twin, she's literally my twin. Like, I looked at my report card, like my parents saved my report cards, and I have them. And I was looking at my report card in grade 5 and her report card in grade 5. We're the same person. And when I grew up, I found that it's like, the things that you would tell your younger self, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to put undue pressure on her. You know what I mean? So that's the thing that I'm very conscious of when it comes to her, because I'm like, I don't want her to feel like she has to be a people pleaser, for example. I also want her to feel that she can be confident in the decisions that she's making and not sit on it. You know what I mean? Or overthink.
Yeah.
Because I see her overthinking. But at the same time, I can't let the frustration, because I'm like, I know you can get out of this, but then it comes out like I feel myself getting warm, and I'm like, girl. But she has to learn it on her own. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's gonna make for like more independence and more confidence as she continues to grow.
And it's like, so I would think that's that has been the hardest thing. But I've been doing good to pull back on that. So.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about Nola. And how we continue to go. I feel like she had way more personality or she will have more personality and be way more outgoing than what I was. I was a pretty reserved, shy kid, and I think she's not going to be that. And I don't want to like stifle her in, you know, concern or not understand who she is as a person. And then I also want her to be able to breathe. Like before, I'd have been like, yeah, my girl's gonna be a basketball player. Like my children are gonna be basketball players. I don't know if I'll get that anymore. I've seen her in basketball practice. I mean, she's only 2, but she might fall into it because she's gonna be tall.
Right. Yes.
But I'm just like, I don't want to impose that type of stuff and make her feel like she has to do it, or even, you know, being on camera and having a big personality. I hope she doesn't ever feel the pressure to be Alicia's kid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But I also hope that she's up to living and can maximize and own that space, because I love some Black nepotism. Right. Okay? I would love to pass her over.
Well, this is it, right? Yes. 100%.
I want to be able to give you all the things that I had to like completely stress myself about, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, girl, I'm there with you.
Yeah. So I just see it, and as she continues to grow, I'm just like, I'm interested, but I'm also like, just stay little, okay?
I know. These phones have a habit of like taking you back in memory lane. I'm just like,
all the little pictures.
I was like, oh my god, cheeks. I'm looking Savannah now. It's like, girl, like what?
Yeah. I was like, Nola has changed so much.
Yeah.
She doesn't even look like the same kid.
No, as time goes on, they start,
I feel like I've always looked like the same.
Yeah.
I've always looked the same. From pretty much birth, you could see me still, right? Just a bigger version, older version. Yeah. But she has changed. Yeah. Hair texture, skin complexion, like all the things. Like her body type. Like when she was born, she was like chubby, and now she's like scrawny. Like
again. Listen, the change for Savannah went from 9 to 10. I was just like, whoa.
Who are you?
Yeah. I was like, oh.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. You just like, it's almost shocking. Like, wow, okay, then I guess she's growing up. Like, oh my gosh. Cause and like even some of her friends, like what threw me was that some of her friends like from 9 got their periods. And I was just like, oh my gosh, the friend group, like they're getting knocked down one by one. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm like here looking at her and I'm like, what are the signs? Yeah. And there's like these signs and I'm like, oh my gosh,
I'm not ready.
I'm like, not ready. And we've had the conversation. Yeah. She knows what to do. She has a little kit with her just in case. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like, I can't believe like this time is coming. Mm-hmm. Like it's going to come. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to some of my other mom friends and they're like, yeah, like their daughter can go to school because they weren't feeling great. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, this time.
So when do you think is the perfect time to have those type of conversations?
I think around 9 is a good time to start having the conversation. And they actually started having the conversations as well at school. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about it. It's natural. You know, these kids don't give you privacy, so they'll barge in like, Mom, what's that? Yeah. So then it's like, that's the segue, right? Yeah. You know, it's just something that, you know, we all go through and you're going to go through it too. And this is what we do when it happens. Right? You know what I mean? And just approach it as I find that approaching things very casually is probably the best way to do it. Like not to make it a huge deal. Like, oh my God, you're a woman. You can ask kids. Yeah. Like,
that's kind of aggressive, right?
You know what I mean? Like, you can have a little conversation like, okay, yes. But
so was it just like the like period talk, or did you do like the sex, like how different? Are you nervous too?
Well, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, just like in terms of the difference between boys and girls.
Okay. So no, we haven't really had that conversation. I don't know when we'll. I'm probably like once we know they're gonna start introducing it at school. I think that's when we're gonna have the conversation. I mean, because it's just like there hasn't been like an easy segue into that.
Yeah. It's like, so
they probably already know. I don't know, but I just know I haven't had that conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they might know for sure. They might be like Googling shit like at
Who
school
knows?
on their friend's phone,
right?
you know?
I mean, it is what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. I had a lot of friends. I was late when I got my period.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 14. I had some friends that were getting at like 8 and like 9 and stuff. And I know I told my partner Ezra, because his daughter's 8 now, his eldest daughter, I was like, have y'all had that conversation yet? Are you guys going to have it soon? He was like, no, like he doesn't want to think of it because it's still his baby. I was like, I'm telling you. Yeah. It happens.
It happens. Yeah.
You know? More and you got to be prepared.
You do. And it's just like,
yeah.
When I had mine at 13 and I had it during Christmas break. So it was easy. We were over at my aunt's place and I was like, oh my gosh. So, but like sometimes it happens at school, right? Mm-hmm. So like, what are you going to do in those situations?
Yeah. Right? And they start panicking and stuff. I was grateful. I was at home because my cat died. We put my cat down. So I didn't understand why I was like crying and stuff. Yeah. And that was why, because I was like emotional for more than one thing. But my mom had talked to me about it from like a very young age, probably from around 3rd grade, maybe. Yeah. She started introducing it to me. Yeah. Because, she just didn't know, like my friends. Yeah. You know? Grade 3. Having pads and stuff. Right, and like you gotta know then if your friends know you're gonna find out.
Yeah, well this is it, right? That's the thing too. Like so once the friends group started, having it, then it's like, okay, you're gonna have the conversation because then their friends are gonna start talking about it, right? Amongst themselves. So I'm like, okay.
You gotta tell them. Do you have are you nervous about anything about the upcoming journey you have in motherhood?
No, I think I'm just nervous about what puberty will bring out of them. I think because I'm no nonsense. I'm like, girl, don't play with me. Yeah. So I'm like, do I need to give you Claire Huxtable? Like, are we gonna have a Vanessa? Because I feel like with Savannah, it's gonna be a Vanessa Claire type situation, and she's not gonna win. Yeah. Don't try me. So,
sis, I've been here before. Right. Okay.
So it's like, okay, is this gonna be like a smooth ride or are we gonna have problems? So.
Sydney seems like she's just so chill that you have no but also you have to go through it first with Savannah. Well, so Lisa will prep you for Sydney, and then you'll be like, okay, I think I got this.
The one thing about Savannah, she's more quiet. She's more reserved than Sydney. And to an extent, I was like, you gotta watch out for them quiet ones. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
be bottling more stuff up.
So that's like I'm on one eye on her.
That's so funny.
Yeah, Sydney, I think she would just say what she wants to say and say it like. Yeah, I think Sydney would be the one to be more out of pocket, like to me, like to my face. Savannah would probably just be more sneaky. But yeah, we'll see.
Are you worried about them stealing your car?
No, because we'll let them know. Like,
apparently, that's a thing that a lot of people did. Really? We asked about it on air. We're like, have you ever like stole your parents' car? And so many people said that they did. Yeah. I was like, not me. I never experienced that.
Listen, my dad's a mechanic, so he loved his cars. I would
never touch it. No. He would know. He would know somehow. 100%. He'd be like, listen, the kilometers is not the same. Like my engine isn't revving the way that it should because you didn't put it in drive all the way. You put it in neutral. Like he would know, right?
No, I do too. Like I was not that type of risk taker with my parents. No.
Yeah, I never. Right. I felt like it was probably too much to do, And then also I got my license really young. Yeah. So I had that, and then I started. My mom. She, for one of her jobs, she ended up getting a work car. So I ended up taking her car in high school for like my last year. So it's like I didn't really steal anything. Before that, I wasn't really interested. Before 16, I knew how to drive a golf cart. My grandpa taught me how to drive a golf cart because we had one.
Yeah.
They used to have like a trailer and a golf cart. So that was
Is that like a Shirks and Shores thing? Like, have you ever been to Shirks and Shores?
No, what's that?
They have trailers. They're like cottages, but then you get around the park on the
that's like it. That's like it. That's how I grew up.
In the community,
my grandma and grandfather bought one when I was around 4 years old, and I used to spend every single summer there. Well, when I was 4, I'd spend a lot more time there.
Yeah.
But when it was open, because my mom was working.
Yeah.
But when I was in school, when I started school, I would go there every summer. I'd go there every weekend or every other weekend.
Yeah.
And I did that until I was like 16.
Oh,
yeah. Once I got to 15 is when I kind of stopped going as much during the summertime because I would be like, I just want to stay home.
Yeah.
But 16, I would just go here and there. But it was cool. It was an opportunity to get out of the city, get out of like the hood, experience something different in the country. I had my bike. I could roam around. Like my mom wouldn't let me go outside as much by myself where we lived. But in the country, it was just like, it's a community. You're fine. Ride my bike. They built me a basketball court because they knew I was playing basketball.
Yeah.
I had a park. I had a lake. I had
all
the things. Volleyball on weekend. So I think it was a really great experience for me to be able to have that like duality and time away. And I kind of want to do it again so that the kids can have that experience as well.
Well, we had found out about this place, which is off Lake Erie. It's very much just like that.
Yeah.
And we did it for a couple of summers. We bought, and then we ended up selling them. But they loved it.
It's a good time.
Yeah, it was like a little mini getaway, and it was perfect. Again, and it was like we had it around pandemic time, so it was good because we couldn't go anywhere. Like the borders weren't open, so we're like, hey, we're going to the cottage. So
that's what I was thinking about when the pandemic started.
Yeah,
I was like, I can't go anywhere. I'm like, I feel like multiple people, like my friend groups, we all need to buy some. And we have like our little clique, and like we can have our fires together, and we can have our like little parties, and we can drink together and do all the things that I saw my mom and my grandma and like their friends did there. I was like, but I just need some more black folks over there.
Right.
This is not enough. There wasn't enough. There's only like one family in the whole park, and then
my gosh.
So it was awkward sometimes, but it's okay. I'm biracial, so I know how to deal with white folks.
Make it right.
What was your aha, wait, I'm a mom moment?
Man, my aha, wait, I'm a mom. I think it's probably just really early after I actually had the kids. Because even to this day, I'm just like, I'm a mom.
Yeah.
I don't think it stops.
Yeah.
Honestly, because now like it's like I'm a mom of a tween. Like now it's just like, okay, because it's I can't even remember what it was. Savannah, she was just like, she's at a school where they wear a uniform, but one day a week they get to wear casual because they call it civvies. So one day, like, this girl showed up, like, Mom, this is what I'm wearing. I'm like, this girl had a whole fit plan. I'm like, girl, where are you going? Like, it's school. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a mom of this right now. So it kind of evolves in stages. And I think it just first starts when they're born and you're spending that much time with them and you're just looking at them sleep and be cute
and also have like the added responsibility. You're like, dang,
right?
I gotta really think this out. Like, it's not just me.
It's not just you. And that you're not gonna get a proper night's sleep. Like you just have the spidey sense. Like you'd be in a deep sleep, but I would just wake up and then look and then somebody's standing over the bed. I'm like, and Jason over there is snoring. Like, right? You know what I mean?
I'm like that with my stepdaughter because she'll wake up in the middle of the night and she'll come and I'm just like, I know she's there. Yeah. I just feel it.
You just
feel it. I'll hear something. I'll hear her open her bedroom door.
Right.
And I'll be like, she's awake.
Right.
Right. Or I'll hear something. Yeah. I'm like, listening ears. Is it her? Is it somebody else? Is it an intruder? Like, Who is it? Determine their like footsteps and the patterns that they do.
Exactly.
It's so funny. Yeah. I love that Savannah is into her Civies Day. I went to a Catholic school in high school, but we didn't have it once a week. We had it like once a month, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but I know those were the days that everybody wanted to get their fits together, their new sneakers, their new this and that, and just show up. So, so cute.
I was like, okay.
Do you have anything mama approved that you could share? Any type of recommendation, whether it's like book, product, just overall advice?
Oh my goodness. I would probably say advice. And my advice would be don't be so hard on yourself. That mom guilt is real.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. A lot of pressure on ourselves. And it's okay. It's okay. None of us are out here being perfect.
There's no real
we're
answer.
Constantly learning.
Yep.
Every one of us, and no one is better than anybody. We're all here learning. We're all here trying to, figure this
Stay
thing
afloat,
out. Right?
Survive. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, is this how my parents felt when they were raising me? You know what I mean? And, we're just out here doing the best that we can. We learn from how we were raised. And, sometimes you may want to do different. Sometimes you're fine with the way that you were. And you just want to make sure that you're leading from a place of love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, it's okay.
As long as we don't raise psychos, right?
Right.
Like, please don't be a psycho. Just be nice, be kind,
right,
caring.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't do anything crazy.
Exactly.
Please.
So I'd say that would be. And I like after taking a solo trip in November last year, I think that's something that mom should do.
Yes.
Like plan that.
That was your first?
That was the first
where
I went without Jason, without the kids. I didn't even go with my girlfriends because yes, it was work related, but if it's a mom's trip or if it's a girl's trip, do it.
Yeah.
But I think that is.
You need one by yourself.
Yeah.
Like no work involved.
No. Yeah.
It's different. It's different. I actually really liked it. I took my after I had 2023 January, so right before Noah's first birthday, I went to Barcelona. It was my first time in Europe.
Yeah.
So I went and I had a great time. It was like cool to like depend on myself, choose what I wanted to do. Yeah. If I wanted to sleep in, I had no pressure.
Hello.
Girl. I was like, oh well, I can stay up late. If I didn't I'd have an itinerary, but if I didn't do everything, I didn't feel no guilt because it was what I wanted to do. Like I followed my body, and I thought it was just so good to just be able to get away and kind of like clear my head a little bit before I came back to everything else.
And don't feel guilty about that either.
Yeah, no, I like it. I did it, and I went again by myself to Barbados in November.
Hello.
So.
Girl, so you doing it?
Yeah. I like to travel. Okay,
you gotta recharge.
I'm not gonna wait for nobody else. Right. I'm gonna go. One thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go. Well, I'm very happy, one, that you came. Two, that you're raising these beautiful little girls and you're able to chase your passions, and that you started by her. And so I wanted to give you your flowers.
Oh.
Literally and not figuratively.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course.
I started and I was super excited when you asked. I'm like, of course. I'll be there, girl.
I appreciate it. I really appreciate all the support, because you could be with your girls right now, your family. You could be working, but you chose to be here. So
thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
So share where they can check out your magazine.
Yes. So it's By Her Mag on Instagram. Byher.ca is the website, and then my personal handle is byMeaux.
Yeah.
BYMEAUX.
Yes, because you gotta be specific.
Yes.
Well, again, thank you so much, and thank you all for watching. Please subscribe to whatever platform you are listening to, or subscribe to all the platforms. I love to see it. Rate us, and yeah, we'll see you next episode. Wait, I'm a mom.